We are now live. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, viewers, and thanks so much for keeping it with us here on Next Generation Media, and specifically on our interactive segment where we discuss tropical issues with your host, Edgar Sampson. Today, our tropical discussion will be focusing on digital security. I mean how we can protect ourselves online. You find that majority of the people world over have embraced and continue embracing the use of online and social media. Actually, some researchers have actually associated this trend to the increased accessibility to and usage of digital service devices and different government policies all over the globe to promote digitalization. I'll just give you an example where, according to the Institute of Security Studies, did a survey in Uganda on the 18th January 2021, and actually the realization was that 60% of Ugandans had access to phones, which shows the level of digital security and trend that they're taking. Whereas this is the case, criminals have also found our finding new ways to operate and steal information from digital users for personal gains. So today, to help us understand this better, I have a panel comprised of ladies and gentlemen, and later on we shall also be joined by some guests via Zoom. Just for starters, to introduce my panel from the left, I have Augustine, Barbara, Babidie, Rachel, Amina. So for starters, my first question is Augustine, and it goes as follows. What does privacy mean to you? And why is it important and why digital security?
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. To my understanding that privacy, this is the act of limiting personal information from other people accessing it. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. It's not really good to avail everything to your side. This is because, as a journalist, as we are here discussing, I should not reveal the source of information. Despite it's true and it has all the facts, but I should not reveal the source of information. And I should own my story, because people may have the idea of overtaking me. So I should own it, though I should give them all the thorough information as far as the matter is concerned.
So you're trying to tell us that we are liable to all the information that we provide to the public, and that is why, for security purposes, we should ensure that we own it by securing it in our own hands. Thank you so much, Augustine. Maybe to the second question, I'll take it to Barbara. I do understand that digital security embraces the use of various tools. What should one put into consideration when deciding on which tool to use?
Thank you, moderator. What I can say is that digital security has really done us a great favor, since we have a lot of tools to use in accessing information, share, store, and all that. That has simplified our work, but not all tools are safe. So you have to have some considerations you put first, and one of them is, how is that tool used? Its usability, as in, is it easy for other people to use? I'll give you an example of WhatsApp, that even people down there that are deep in villages can use this WhatsApp. So if you have this WhatsApp and the other one has it, you can share information. But if you don't, then you can not only use it alone. I will also consider the feedback mechanism. How is this tool I'm using? How is it safe? Does it give me an alert if someone is trying to hack into it? The example is Gmail. Gmail gives you an alert if anything is happening on the other device and someone is trying to enter into your account. It gives you an alert immediately. There is also finding out the source who develops this tool. Is that person credible? So you also have to consider that. Then we have its efficiency. How does it work? Is it fast? Is it, can it back up your information so that you cannot lose it? Yes, so those are all considerations.
So you're trying to tell us that we have different applications and tools, and as users, we have to be very careful and in the selection of the kind of tools that we use.
Yes.
Actually, according to the experience I have, there are some applications that are sole owned, and if you brought them to the market, you find that you use it alone. So from what I'm picking from you, that we need applications that everyone in the community, we can contextualize, for example, in Uganda, which tools are being used in Uganda, how is the environment in Uganda, so that we are, when you're using a tool or developing a tool, you need to consider all that.
Yeah.
And there's something that you bring out that at times there are people who can hack into your account. And there is this common slogan in digital security called phishing. I want to ask Rachel a question, specifically to do with phishing as far as digital security is concerned. According to a survey conducted by the Digital Agency, that is in 2021, it indicates that 45% of the respondents actually had experienced phishing a lot. 45% indicated experiencing phishing a little while. Only 1% of the respondents recorded not at all. That gives you a good representation that phishing is common and it is amongst us. But I want you to bring us actually on board. What is phishing? And how is it done?
Thank you, moderator. According to me, phishing means an act of manipulating one's data online. People who send phishing messages normally do it without prior knowledge of their target victims. And you know, over time, as you earlier on said, this act is on the rise. You find that people get into people access other people's data online. And
how do they do it when they don't have passwords, they don't have our accounts?
Okay, normally they send phishing messages in terms of scams, and you know they always compel their target victims to kind of click on some links that end up, you know, revealing their personal data that is supposed to be private.
Is it something similar to what we usually see, that people come out with accounts, for example, Twitter accounts with messages from the president, and these messages are later on disowned? Is it something similar to that?
Yeah, actually, you're right. Someone can even send for you a message telling you how you've won a lottery of, let's say, $500, yet you didn't even participate in any competition to win such amounts of money. And, you know, when you kind of fall into their trap, they end up, you know, accessing passwords to your bank accounts, to your mobile money accounts, which is commonly used here. You get it, and you end up being robbed.
So as online users, what can we do to avoid such an occurrence? What can we do as normal Ugandans to see that people don't break into our accounts? They don't do what you're calling phishing. They don't, manipulate our accounts and do actually criminality with them. What should be done?
Actually, most apps have a section where you can employ some of the privacy settings to ensure that maybe you create strong passwords for yourself, passwords that are not easily manipulatable. Then the other thing is that people ought to avoid clicking on whatever prompts they receive on their, you know, devices. Someone should do a background check before clicking on any stuff.
You find that some of what you're talking about, actually, when these prompts come up, they are really interesting, and I don't know how to say it, that someone can't avoid clicking on them. what should we do? Should we just avoid everything we see? I mean, what is your take?
Okay, normally, the example that I cited out, someone tells you you've won $500, but you've not participated in any competition. Why should you click on such? Normally, when you see such kind of information, you just block. I think that way we can save ourselves from phishing stuff.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. There's something you talk about actually that is very important. Now you introduce the element of using tools to fight phishing, to fight criminality on actually online. And my question actually will go to Usability. When using most of these digital applications, users are always asked to profile their persons. They are always told to give their names, their date of birth, and everything, which they always do. As an expert in the digital field, are you fine with this? And maybe what advice do you give?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Profiling your personal data or putting your identification on the app, it can help someone to easily verify himself or to own your account of your personal data. But you need to be secure in that you have to put passwords or to put privacy on your account, in that not everyone is able to access your information, which will help you to avoid fraud messages which will be sent to you.
You know me better. There is a term, I don't know if it is a digital security term that you bring in, that is being obscure. Can you make it simpler for me to understand as a user?
Okay, thank you. To obscure means to put privacy on your information or data or profile. For example, you cannot put everything you cannot put every information you have on your account. For example, you're married. For example, I'm from Iganga. You cannot tell everyone that I'm from Iganga, I'm married, I'm this age. It gives them time and it gives them an advantage of like tracking, or the hackers to track in your account and get information and tell you to send something or like to fraud you.
Is it similar to what I usually see on my account, where they when I go to the private settings, they ask me, should we make your name public? Should we make your age public? Is it similar to that?
Definitely, that it is what I'm meaning.
So are you trying to tell us that some of this information, though given to the source of the application, we should limit it not to be public to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Babidi. But maybe just to take one last question before we go for a commercial break. Apart from talking obscurity, what else can I do to ensure my privacy and security as an online user?
Thank you so much, moderator. You can encrypt your messages. By encrypting your messages, I mean, this is a data protection strategy for electronic information, electronic information that's transmitted over the internet.
So encrypting, what is encrypting? Is it what they usually refer to putting information in a language that is not understandable for others, for the public to understand? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what it means. You may put in some, maybe your local language, words which cannot be easy for someone to translate.
So that someone without a password can't open that message. What else can we do? What else can be done by me, an ordinary online user, to ensure my privacy and security?
You can also have different passwords on different accounts. For example, on email, you use a different password. On Facebook, you get it. So you can also back up your information. If you back up your information every time you're saving, it will make it very difficult for any hacker to go through your information or your data. Then the other thing, you should stop using free, like maybe you can use private internet For example, you shouldn't go in the internet cafes, free Wi-Fi. Hackers may use that as an advantage to hack your information.
Actually, you remind me of the day power went off when I was working on my account in a cafe, and I didn't sign out. And after a day, someone was trying to enter it, only that it was Gmail, and they sent me requesting for verification code on my phone. Thank you so much, Amina. I request that at this moment, we take a simple commercial break, and thereafter we shall continue, we shall further our interaction.
The bad news is that everyone is a potential victim. The good news is that everyone is a potential solution.
COVID-19 is a pandemic which covered the whole world. I'm certain in eastern Uganda, it started from Iganga district where it was found in a baby of 9 months who got it from his father who used to travel to Kenya. Unfortunately, it is a center of eastern Uganda where all districts beds Iganga. And moreover, most of the journalists based in Iganga, the country kept into darkness and media came a time shaking. As a journalist, lacked facilities to use in the scandal, and indeed we had to participate.
And moreover, most of the journalists based in Uganda, the whole country became stunned and everyone regretted he or she was born.
The country kept into darkness and the media came a time shaking. As journalists, we lacked facilities to use in the scandal, and indeed we had to participate.
Doctors had the fear in the cause of lacking facilities to use in medication. It started in the darkness where the country had no method with no idea to fight the pandemic.
Whenever someone became sick, he or she was isolated, which led to the death of many people in the country. Many people lacked food, medication due to lockdown. No one was able to facilitate him or herself, and pregnant mothers, AIDS victims were in a terrible condition.
Diabetes victims and other sensitive diseases were not able to get medication. COVID-19 or coronavirus will be in the memory of everyone in this world forever.
Everybody must be alive.
Yeah, welcome back from the commercial break. Actually, it reminds us about the existence of the COVID-19 epidemic, and I'm very glad that we even here are observing the SOPs, all our masks are on. Let me also welcome you back as panelists to this segment of the topical discussion in which we are talking digital security. And at this moment, I would love to bring in our colleagues who are part of the panel, not physically, but have also decided to go digital. And these are special people who have committed time to ensure our digital security by developing different tools, applications, and for starters, if I'm to ask Saidi, I don't know if she's online already, what inspires you as a tool developer? What drives you to develop these safety tools?
Thank you, moderator. Can everyone hear me?
Sure, we can do.
Wonderful. Well, over the past decade, I've become wary of surveillance and issues with privacy as it's being discussed prior to the commercial break, and especially censorship. These things, this means things like the way that data is gathered and used without our consent, and also the issues that arise from using social platforms. I was curious not just about what could exist as a tool or a network option, but about working with people who work on these tools and the different mindset and the approach to the internet and different ways that people interact with privacy and security and how these are valued.
Oh, sorry, is it my turn?
Sadie, can you go ahead?
Oh, sorry. Did anyone hear what I just?
Yes, we do, and we are hearing you very well. Can you go ahead? We just had something simple disturbing. Can you go ahead, maybe? Well, as we wait for Sadie to come back, I don't know if Lucy is around. I have a question for Lucy. What are the main challenges that you face in the design and development of these digital applications?
Hi, thank you. I would say that the most challenging aspect of designing these types of privacy tools is being able to talk to the users that we want to talk to. Our main users are people that really care about privacy, or they might just be very skeptical about certain tools. And it can be really hard to get a hold of those type of people, because if we tell them about this tool and ask them to test the tool by downloading it, for example, there can be a lot of skepticism around that. And yeah, that's probably the most challenging aspect. So we do make some assumptions in our testing, but they're educated assumptions. And, we work with the knowledge that we already have on our team. For example, Sadie, and then we have a developer on our team, and we kind of use them as people to ask questions with when we can't get a hold of the actual users. And then we develop personas that are as similar to the real users as much as possible. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lucy. Maybe Ashley, I don't know if she's online. Would you love to tell us more about the Usable project as we talk digital security?
Hello, yes, thank you all for having me. My name is Ashley Fowler. I'm a senior program officer here at Internews Network, currently joining you from Washington, D.C. Wish I was there in person with everyone, but very, very excited to be a part of this conversation. We at Internews feel very strongly, as Lucy just said, about kind of bridging this gap between open source tool developers and the end users who are reliant on these tools. And so we have over the years developed this project that we call Usable. I'm happy to share some more details in the chat, perhaps, so that folks can access our website, but you can visit us at usable.tools. And the entire project is really centered around, again, connecting end users directly or indirectly with tool developers. So we have found that using digital security trainers can be a really useful intermediary to help give the end users the voice that they need in the design and development process. And so we've worked with wonderful partners all around the world, trainers, as well as designers, to help implement various activities that can be integrated into an existing digital security training. So the idea is that you're already meeting with users as a trainer, and you're already introducing new tools and new platforms. So building in a bit of extra time into those trainings when you're able to gather firsthand feedback from those users and to really capture their stories, capture their experiences, figure out what's working, what's not, and then give them a safe way to share that information back with teams like Lucy and Sadie, so that they can continue to maintain and develop these tools that are so critical to our everyday survival in most cases. So that's a very brief or high-level version of Usable, but we also do create a lot of resources. Again, Lucy mentioned personas. So we do have user personas, as well as organizational archetypes available on our website, where you can see kind of, again, some various profiles of users, and we share those directly with tool teams and with developers so that they can have those people or those organizations in mind when they are developing and designing those tools. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for ensuring the usability and connecting actually the users to the developers to see that they understand the different tools in ensuring their digital security. Due to time, we won't continue so much. And I would love to say that we've come to the end of our interactive segment where we've been talking digital security. We can continue our interactions on the same over our different online platforms to understand the topic even better. Thank you all for accepting to be part of the panel, and big up to our viewers. I remain Edgar Sampson, the moderator of the program. Otherwise, our normal programming continues.
Tell me something special today. One by one, make up and down, but you make cry. Love is such a game that we lose and gain. There's a sesamo, because don't is a Richimuri, Chimurisa, Kusabatoma. Oh, then away from the Buba, now we're about to in a muchicha. Urunji wano yetini, Sejagaro Kurabu. If the doors in your kind of baby said of your Kosanaka when you die. A churchy Pula Jaga must suppose you want to know it, and also this one is not even wide. Sabaton, yes, you ain't on the opening and to watch much a time. Sabaton, yes, on the opening and to watch much a time. What are you so kind of Semayo? What are you telling me to go? You baby singer, yo. You said I be Jesus and Sunana. Sanya in a fancy for Mujima. What are you baby singer, yo?
Hello, Sadie. I stepped off my machine for a bit as the session ended.